It is finally here. Week 1 has came and it has gone. We all sat on our couches for 8 to 9 hours watching a full slate of games. And I am pleased to announce, as host and CEO of the Kirby on Sports podcast, that we are back in business. It is football. It is week 1. We'll talk about the Rams and the Bills, the Chargers and the Raiders, the Seahawks and the Broncos. Later on in the show, we'll have the hurry up offense. And then to wrap things up, my interview with Jim Wyatt, senior writer and editor for the Tennessee Titans. Folks, buckle up, sit back, enjoy the show. The Kirby on Sports podcast, week 1 starts right now. Once again, I'm your host, Josh Kirby. This is the Kirby on Sports podcast. We wouldn't be where we are today without our sponsors, PM Plus Reserves, Shenandoah Primitives, Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation, and Mark Francis with Icon Real Estate. Without further ado, let's bring in our crew, the weapon, Dan Demski, who is currently vacationing. Dan, good to see you, buddy.
What's up, man? How are you?
Oh, man, I'm living
Football is back. Let's go, man. Finally.
Football is
For
back.
real this time.
And the Swiss Army knife,
Here it
Mr.
comes.
Carlos Martinez.
There it is.
Gentlemen, I'll tell you one thing, man. My Commanders, they gave me a heart attack. Dan, your Ravens won, and Carlos, the Chiefs look pretty darn good out there.
We did.
Our team,
you know who didn't look good? You know who didn't look good?
Who?
My beloved Cowboys.
How about them Cowboys?
How about them Cowboys? I'm sorry.
That was a pathetic performance that most of the fan base saw coming, and clearly the Joneses are delusional and did not see coming and were surprised by the lack of offensive movement. But I'll tell you what, I was not surprised. As you guys know, I put in the group message a very long and angry message at halftime about the problems that I saw. And basically this season's over for Dallas before it even begun, especially now with Dak going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. It's just not looking good. So we had conversations about whether I was going to rescind my fanhood again, like I did 2 years ago in 2020 when Dak also got injured, but the team was just not playing well at that point. And I decided I'm going to save myself the emotional headache and just root full on for the Chiefs. But we had conversations about whether that was going to happen again this year. And I decided to not do it because that's not going to help bring the change that the fan base wants. So I'm going to be here every day fighting for the change that the fan base deserves, for all the time we have sacrificed, all the money that we have spent on this team, building it up, helping the Jones family amass this gigantic empire and make it the most valuable franchise in the world. Well, we deserve something back. We deserve the same commitment back. And I want competent people in the front office. So every day I'm going to be yelling from the rooftops that the Jones family needs to make change. And we'll hopefully we can get it done.
Wow.
So I'm not rescinding my fan.
Beautifully said.
Well, yeah, well said for a Cowboys fan right there. I mean, I was not expecting that. I mean, the game on both sides was not good. I mean, I thought the Tampa Bay Buccaneers could have played a lot better, but besides the point, I really do feel bad for Dak. He is a good quarterback. I will say that based on my knowledge in the sports field and podcasting. If Dak is healthy, he is really, really good. So I just feel bad. And it's getting to a point where I'm scrolling through social media and it's not even funny seeing the amount of Cowboys memes anymore. So, I mean, it's just.
You said as you posted immediately after the
I
game.
know, right? As soon as the game, how about them Cowboys? And he's the one who shares all the memes too about them. Don't
He was
don't
the
try.
first person I saw posted anything.
That's what I'm saying.
Mr.
Don't
Josh
sit there
Kirby
and try
himself.
to say he's Kirby. You're laughing at this. You love the pain of the Cowboys. It's fine. You're a Washington fan. I get it.
I mean, what do you have to care about, to be honest?
I mean, at least they have, they're winning and they actually have a offense that can score. Dallas was the only offense in week 1 that didn't score a touchdown. It's fine. It's cool. It's cool. I can't talk trash. I mean, I guess if I'm coming from the perspective of a Chiefs fan, I could talk trash. But
You can talk trash. I mean, that was still a, suspect performance, I will say. And I mean, I was scared.
Get used to it. Get used to it because that's the Carson Wentz experience, dude.
Okay. Let me just say this. Let me just say this. This is week 1. We're just gonna throw it all out there. I mean, how do you not see Walker right there? Yeah, I mean, you should see a green jersey and it's like
Kirby. Just remember, this is the same guy who threw that one pick against, what was it, the Rams last year, where he literally tossed the ball out of the end zone right to the Los Angeles Rams defender, and they ran it right in for a touchdown. The same dude who sprained both his ankles on one play.
I know.
Nothing surprises me that Carson Wentz does. Nothing surprises me.
I know. But I will say, Dotson and McLaurin looked really good.
Scary Terry was missing most of the game though.
Because
Dotson looked very good. Like he made some plays and I really enjoyed that.
Well, Terry's numbers were low because they were abusing Curtis Samuel. I mean, Curtis Samuel played pretty good too.
Wait, how does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, they were using him a lot more.
Okay.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying. Terry wasn't the primary target there, but they did use him, and he did score a touchdown.
No, when he finally when he made his appearance, like it was big, it was grand. But what I'm saying is that like he was very quiet for most of the game.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen, let's get into it.
I like how we talk about both our teams, but we don't really touch on Dan's team. Dan,
I got nothing to say. I'm happy. What can I say?
Listen, it was a dominant performance.
Lamar balled out. We sacked Flacco.
Kirby, the fact that you were trying to sell yourself on that narrative of Joe Flacco's gonna win. Oh,
just doing that to annoy me, and guess what?
I know,
it worked.
that's the thing. It's like I was like, we know what you're trying to do here. It's not. I mean,
that's why I don't respond to childish things. I just let it roll off my back. What are you gonna do?
All right, gentlemen.
Yeah, Joe Flacco was bombarded all day. We hit him a lot, so. I kind of felt bad in a way, but I also didn't.
Was it interesting seeing and playing against him?
Were
you
weird.
rooting for him at all, or
is it though? I mean, it's been years since he was. It's not like he was your quarterback last year. Like it's been years.
Yeah,
since
but it's weird because of where he took our franchise, though.
Yeah,
like he was the guy who had that magical Super Bowl run for us, and it's the last time we made really a deep run into the playoffs. So it's hard to get away from those days, I think. I think that game is sort of a turning of the page where now you can finally start to say, like, okay, this is the next generation now. So, and I know people felt that way before, but I think that game was sort of a bookend to, the Ravens Flacco era. So it was definitely weird, though. It was because I don't think a lot of people thought he would get any opportunity to play in the last couple of years because he really hasn't played much. Really in 3 or 4 years. So the fact that he's still out there playing at his age is impressive enough. So,
I mean, we have Tom Brady playing at 45.
Well, he's no other guy can be compared to Tom Brady, though. You know what I mean?
Did you hear he was out of practice today?
I did not hear that.
Well, the injury report came out, and there are a long list of injuries for the Bucs. But I just saw it today. I forgot to share it with you all.
He's just taking a rest day. He's not hurt.
No, he did not practice. They didn't say he was hurt, but I wonder if it goes back to that. Yeah, that speculation the media is putting out there.
Well, of course, there's always speculation. When it's Tom Brady, there's going to be speculation.
Hold on. Let's not sit here and act like this hasn't been happening for the past 2 years since he's been at Tampa Bay, where he takes days off. He's old. Stop making a big deal. This is a non-story to me.
No, okay.
He said he's 45. What was the quote?
He doesn't have a young man's arm anymore.
Yeah, something like that. It takes him longer to recover.
Listen, this is the last ride. Let's be honest here. There's no way he plays next year. There's no way he plays next year.
I agree.
Yeah, if he doesn't play next year, we can just recycle your old graphic, Carlos.
That was a damn good graphic. Oh my god,
it was a good graphic too.
Too damn hard. Let's hope he doesn't win another Super Bowl, because then I'm screwed. I'm gonna have to make that thing from scratch again, because I don't have the.
Please don't speak that into existence. No, not again. No.
All right, gentlemen, let's get into it. Week 1 kicked off on Thursday in Inglewood, California, as Mr. Andrew Whitworth and Odell Beckham Jr. presented the Super Bowl banner raising, because Sean McVay is superstitious and he didn't have his team come out, because they were like, oh, we're on to next year. We're on to work and on to try to win another Super Bowl. And in this game, I knew it from the start. The Bills were going to come out aggressive in their defense, especially Von Miller made some plays too. And they just made a statement to the National Football League. And if any year is the Bills' year to make it to the Super Bowl, this would be the year.
This has to be the year. This is the team they built now for this Super Bowl run. And in my mind, if they don't get there, if they don't get past the Chiefs or whoever their opponent is in the AFC Championship,
it's going to be the Chiefs.
Yeah, most likely.
It's
a failure, in my opinion. The season is a failure. Because look, there's their window as far as salary cap and stuff like that's closing. I think they really only have a couple years where they can afford to pay all these players. And money talks, So I think this is, I would say they probably have a 2-year window where they could win a Super Bowl, where they should win a Super Bowl rather. But yeah, it's they completely dominated from start to finish. Something with the Rams, I mean, you hate to say Super Bowl hangover in the first game of the season, because it's a long season. All right, we still got 16 more games to go. But they just were not. They were flat, straight up. Their offense was flat. They couldn't stop anything on defense. The Bills just dominated in all phases of the game. It was impressive to watch, for sure.
And the drives they put together were great.
Yeah, and and of course, all the experts, quote unquote, who picked them to go to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl looked pretty good after that game. But it is 1 week. The Bills have to just focus on week to week. Yeah, I know Carlos is
yeah,
right.
Carlos has
throw it to Carlos, because he's bobbing his head over there.
Listen, I got some thoughts on the Bills. Listen, I was not necessarily overly impressed. I mean, the difference being was, they did have 3 turnovers, in that first half. It was 10-10 going into halftime. If Los Angeles had a more complete offense right now, they should have been up big. Honestly, there was no reason should be 10-10 at halftime with all the turnovers that Buffalo gave to Los Angeles, but also Los Angeles gave it right back to them. So let's put that into context as well. My only gripe is that the whole entire NFL world that Thursday was hugging really hard on Josh Allen's nuts. And I'm just like, do you guys not realize there's another man in Kansas City who begs to differ.
You know what? Enough of that.
Hold on. No.
Your quarterback's not Lamar Jackson. I don't even want to hear it.
Stop. Lamar Jackson has won an MVP. He deserves to be in this conversation as well. Don't get it twisted, okay? But the man in Kansas City has been to, 5 straight AFC championship games. He's been to 2 Super Bowls. He's won a Super Bowl MVP. What has Josh Allen done? 1 AFC championship appearance where he completely got outplayed. I can't blame him for last year because it was 13 seconds. But the baddest man on the planet, which is no longer Aaron Rodgers, it is now Patrick Mahomes, and he proved it again on Sunday. He allowed him to reintroduce himself. So that's my only gripe with the coverage of the game. But in terms of the whole team performance, yeah, the Bills are going to be a problem this year for sure. That second half, they completely took over.
Oh, yeah.
And completely played the Rams like out of their stadium and ruined that party, of course. Yeah, man. They're just such a complete. They really do not have a lot. Like they had, 2 rookies starting at corner. Yeah. And those rookies played pretty well.
They played great. Yeah.
They pretty much contained Cooper Kupp. And obviously, the Rams are missing Van Jefferson and there's another receiver they're missing, isn't there?
Odell Beckham.
No, Odell's not on the team though.
He's not?
Kirby, they didn't resign him.
Oh. Well,
yeah, he's a free agent.
Here
I am thinking he was still on the team in streak play. I was like, oh man,
no,
it's slipping my mind right now, Carlos. But yeah, I think there was another receiver that they were missing.
I guess it confused me. He was there with Whitworth, but I guess.
Well, Whitworth is retired. Obviously, Odell was part of the team last year, and he's not currently a member of the Los Angeles Rams. I don't know if they're planning on re-signing him or not, but Odell's not even ready to play.
There were several teams that were interested. I know the Ravens came up, but yeah.
Buffalo's one of the teams that are still interested in them.
Yeah, which, boy, that'll be interesting. If they add him, that's just that's another wrinkle. So I just want to respond to your point, Carlos, on why the media wants to hug Josh Allen's nuts, which, by the way, is a great descriptor of how to say what this is, because that's pretty much what it is. They
really are. They really are, though.
I think they're looking for the next great quarterback battle. They want someone to be able to compete with Patrick Mahomes. The last thing people want to see is another Tom Brady situation, which, again, I don't think we're going to see.
But Tom Brady had Peyton Manning. That was the matchup. That was the matchup everybody loved watching, Peyton Manning versus Tom Brady. That's what this is going to be, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. That is the matchup for sure.
That's why when anytime these guys play, they're going to get mad credibility, especially in prime time. That's just how it is.
But it was just in a way where I was just like, "Yo, y'all are like."
It was a lot.
It
was definitely more than usual. Yeah, it was definitely more than usual. But that's also what happens when it's the first game too, and a guy balls out in the first game. Like you see, just the rush to, come to conclusions on what the season's going to hold. And that's kind of what it was for the Bills. It's like, okay, yep, they're the Super Bowl favorite. Put them in the game, right after. But which is crazy to me.
They are a Super Bowl favorite. They should be the favorite to win, but because obviously
you can't base it off one game, which is what my point is.
We still got a whole 16 games to play for every team, but.
Right.
My thing is,
and we saw some upsets this weekend. So
week one is always crazy, man. Like week one, you can't ever base anything off of week one because anything happens week one. Think about it. Last year, what happened with the Packers? They got completely annihilated in that first game against the Saints, and then they went on to be the number 1 seed. They got annihilated again this week. We'll see how this season ends up, but. To bring it back to Buffalo though,
people have a short memory.
But Buffalo, for sure, they should be the favorite. But I just think people are sleeping. I think I kind of like it that people are sleeping on the Chiefs again. But one thing we haven't talked about, and we should probably talk more about the Rams, considering they're the defending Super Bowl champions, is like, yeah, like they're missing Van Jefferson still. And also the dude who's replacing what's his name, Andrew Whitworth.
Whitworth, yeah.
Like that dude struggled hard. I think the problems with Los Angeles is more of like their offensive line is struggling because they don't have the leadership of Whitworth. Whitworth only gave up 20 pressures all season last year. This dude, yeah, and this dude that's replacing him, I can't remember his name. He gave up 8 alone in this game against Buffalo. 8 pressures. Think about it. The entirety of last season, postseason included, I believe, also, Whitworth only had allowed only 20 pressures on Matthew Stafford. And then this dude allows 8 off the bat. Like, that's basically 1/3 of it right there, of the same amount. And then on top of that, the defensive line, I mean, only Aaron Donald was really getting pressure on Josh Allen consistently. So they got a lot of things they got to clean up. Obviously, there's the whole jokes about, Jalen Ramsey, how he was talking about Josh Allen was trash when he got drafted. And I mean, nobody really knew what was going to happen with Josh Allen when he got drafted. He was very raw talent,
Small school, wasn't glitz and glamour. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, he was just very rough around the edges. He just there was a lot of work mechanics wise that he needed to get to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knew he had a big arm, but there was just a lot that needed to be worked on. My thing is,
he had an issue with turnovers, especially.
Yeah, and it's just like Jalen Ramsey needs to definitely. I mean, if he's going to be considered one of the best corners in the league, he needs to do a better performance than that because he was getting lit up all game.
Yeah, Jalen Ramsey needs to focus on his on the field performance and not trash talking off the field.
He's always been a trash talker, though, and I think that's also like that's also what defensive backs do a lot of too. That's sort of in their nature because you want to get under the head of the guy going against you, and especially a quarterback or receiver. Like you want to try to, I don't know, intimidate them. I don't think he was trying to intimidate him with what he said. I think he was just
it's all mind games. It's all mind games.
Yeah. So yeah, that's really what it boils down to. But yeah, Jalen Ramsey definitely his anytime he's faced a decent receiver and a decent quarterback, well, I mean, maybe not decent. I'll give him good or solid even. He gets exposed, really. I mean, he's really not able to play. He's not be able to play man to man that well. So that's a big problem when you're at least pretending to be one of the best cornerbacks in the National Football League. But
yep.
Yeah, I will say this. Yes, I understand the Rams are the defending Super Bowl champions, and we should touch a little bit more on them. But in this game, I'd like to talk a little bit more about the Bills here because, yes, Carlos, they did have 3 turnovers, but I really feel like the Bills' defensive performance in their game made all the difference there because if your defense doesn't step up after turning the ball over 3 times and limit the Rams' offense, this game could be a completely different storyline, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, so, here's the biggest concern for me for the Rams is they have to be able to run the football. I mean, it's something that they were much better at last year. They only had 51 yards rushing total.
But even last year, it wasn't
Henderson
really
only had 47.
Yeah,
that's not good.
They could at least have some consistency last year. Maybe not in every game.
Cam Akers. Everybody was saying, "Oh, I drafted Cam Akers on my fantasy team, and he did not even play barely."
Yeah, I'm not sure what's up.
0 yards.
I'm not really sure what's up with that because he was. I don't think he was inactive for the game.
No, he played.
Yeah, he only
had 3 carries for 0 yards.
Yeah.
So
see, I didn't even think he played because he didn't do anything. So, but yeah, that's crazy.
The Rams,
that's concerning. Especially when Cam Akers is supposed to be your guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a bad look. But it's I'm not saying you have to get 150 to 200 rushing yards per game, but if you just look at what the Bills were able to do on the ground, at least much more respectable. Obviously Josh Allen, the leading rusher, but Singletary also had a pretty good game too.
Yeah, but Josh Allen is the difference there when you talk about rushing between the two teams. It's like Josh Allen's a big dude also.
Not
So like
Matt
he
Stafford
just,
run.
I mean, Matthew Stafford's not going to, has never been that guy.
He doesn't even run to the sideline anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And just, yeah, I don't know, man. Like the way I see it is like, this wasn't the Rams at their full strength. Also, like I said, they were missing Van Jefferson, which is a key part. They were only, Allen Robinson didn't really make an impact the way people thought he was going to make an impact. But I think he's still getting acclimated. Geez, that was a hard word to say. To his new surroundings with the new team and stuff. So like, it's only week 1. So let's not overreact. I think the Rams are going to be fine. They just need some time to get over. Yeah, there's for sure a Super Bowl hangover.
Yeah,
I believe. But I think they're going to be okay. I think they're going to figure it out. It's just there's definitely the key things to me is the offensive line and the defensive line. Those are the things of most concern to me, just because, like in the trenches, that's where the battle's won. So they need to get that figured out. They need to shore up some of their stuff, and I think the Rams are going to be fine. But the Bills, yeah, for sure. That second half, man, that was complete domination. And at least in the first half, the Rams were in it, at least you could say. But I mean, realistically, without those turnovers, I mean, Buffalo was about to blow them out of the water completely.
It's good, great point. I have nothing to add to that. I think that's well said.
Yeah, I agree with that. Stafford, he threw 3 picks in the game. I mean, I think it's the Super Bowl hangover. Sean McVay's still a great coach, and I think they're going to get over this. But I think a lot of people were picking the Rams to win. From what I've seen.
No. A lot of people were picking the Bills to win. It was like 61% on NBC's like fan vote things were picking the Bills to win. A lot of people are very high on this Bills team because they are a very complete team. There's not a lot of weaknesses, Yeah. So I think by far the AFC teams are way more complete and better than the NFC team. The NFC is like wide open. I couldn't tell you who's the favorite in the NFC right now.
And it's obvious that teams still don't know how to cover Cooper Kupp because he just every single game he just puts up insane numbers.
The thing is, it's not necessarily about covering him. You're not going to stop Cooper Kupp. You just have to contain him and try to, mitigate what he does.
That's true. Yeah. And try to catch up to him after he's beat you.
Yeah.
With the football in his hands, usually. His run after the catch is ridiculous, man.
It is.
Yeah, well, I think that's all I got. But the Bills over the Rams 31-10 in Inglewood. That stadium was hopping in. The Bills defensively looked great. Offensively looked pretty good, besides the turnover. So they're still 31-10 in that matchup. But what a great game to start off the NFL season, though.
I mean, it wasn't last year's opening game, but,
Yeah.
Where that was competitive down to the wire. I mean, listen, that game was a lot of fun. I mean, it was stressful. Yeah. It was a lot of fun. There was drama last year. This year, it was pretty straightforward. It was just like, hey, the Bills are here. That second half was just like, man, I tuned out at the second half because I was like, man, this isn't even competitive anymore. Like, this is embarrassing.
And last year was perfect because you had fans are back, right? So you had the full
that too.
Stadium.
We had the full experience.
I guess there were full stadiums. I was trying to think
it was full stadiums right from the back. Yeah.
So that was a whole other thing. It was like, welcome back to football. Boom, perfect game to start the season. This one was a little bit, not so entertaining for sure. This was a leave in the third quarter type of game.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So the Bills over the Rams 31-10. When we return, we'll talk about the Chargers and the Raiders. We're so glad football's back. Stick with us. We'll be right back. For sports fans living in condominium and homeowners associations, as well as business professionals, when you need a reserve study, PM Plus Reserves has been in business since 1990. Their studies are accurate and easy to understand. Check them out when your association needs a study. www.pmplusreserves.com. You can also contact them at 703-803 8436. Once again, www.pmplusreserves.com. Welcome back. I do want to start by just giving a shout out to a buddy, owner of Barrett Pest and Termite Services, big supporter of my podcast. So I appreciate Barrett Pest and Termite for for the love and support there. If you need pest and termite services taken care of, look no further because Barrett Pest and Termite can take care of your pest and termite issues today. 540-662-5805 or barrettpest-termite.com. Boys, the Chargers and the Raiders. I'll start by saying in this game, I thought the Raiders might have had the slight upper hand in this game, but the Chargers led for pretty much this whole game. And I'll be honest, I didn't really watch. Yeah, I mean, I flipped back and forth, but I didn't watch the entirety of this game. But the Raiders look kind of flat in this game.
Yeah, I mean, 3 turnovers from Derek Carr. That'll
3 interceptions too.
And Herbert was pretty much perfect. So yeah, you can't give the Chargers extra chances. You can't give any team the ball. What am I saying? But especially a quarterback like Herbert, who has already had an impressive start to his NFL career, just trying to build off that. And this is it's like we talked about at the top, I guess in our preseason preview when we talked about the AFC West, where it's possible we could have 4 teams make the playoffs from that division. The Raiders didn't look like a playoff team, that's for sure. So
I mean, the game was close till the end. I mean, you can't sit there and say they didn't look like a playoff team because they fought back. I mean, they only lost by 5 points. They only lost by 2.
I wouldn't get to say that quite yet. It's only week 1, but I did pick
this. Yeah, they were just extremely sloppy. So
and
Derek Carr was he was pretty off in this game.
I did pick them to win, but
insanity that you picked them to win.
No, I'm so sorry, Carlos. It's
insanity that
anything can happen.
I'm sorry, but come on, man. Like,
I'm sorry. Did we think the Colts were gonna tie with Houston, for crying out loud? You don't know. You don't know.
We're not talking about that.
We're not talking. We're talking about the Rams. I'm sorry, not the Rams. The Chargers and the other Los Angeles team. The Chargers and the Raiders. Like, come on, man. Like the Chargers. Like, they're just. On paper, they're the better team than like I said when we previewed the AFC West. The Raiders are top heavy, and when you look at the stats, who were the big performers? It was the top big name players. Everybody else didn't really do much.
I'll tell you this though, for the Raiders, Devontae Adams, 10 receptions, 141 yards, and a touchdown, averaging 14.1 yards a catch. Looked pretty good for his debut as a Raider, regular season.
They're going to be throwing it to him many times throughout the season. So just get used to him having crazy numbers. He's probably going to get, so they target him 17 times. He's probably going to get 15 to 20 targets a game all season long. And, that could be something watch out for. Like, if he gets injured, it could just be because he's just being worn down so much by having to have the ball thrown his way, get hit by corners. And, even though that doesn't happen much now in today's game, not that it's soft, but it's not the same as it used to be. I will say that much. But yeah, I think he's been he's going to be a great addition to this team. He's going to have to be because it's obvious that he shoulders the load for this offense. I can't talk today. But yeah, what I'm trying to say.
Dan, like you said, Justin Herbert almost perfect. 26 for 34, 279 yards and 3 touchdowns, and a more pass-heavy game for the Chargers. DeAndre Carter, former Commander, who was a pretty good return man, caught a touchdown there. Everett with another touchdown as well. So Yeah, Herbert and the Chargers look pretty good. I apologize for knocking them and picking against them, but
Sanity.
I know.
The way that, and I'm impressed too with just how well Herbert spreads the ball around. I mean,
Absolutely. I was just about to say that too.
The stat sheet is ridiculous. I mean, 4 targets, I mean, a lot of these guys, 4 or 5 guys have 4 targets plus. So it's just impressive that, I mean, I guess he's still technically a young quarterback.
I mean, it's only his 3rd year.
Yeah, but he doesn't lock onto one receiver, and I think that's going to help him a lot in the long run. And it's impressive to see that, because you see a lot of young quarterbacks do that. They find one guy they really like, and then they just lock with them, and that's how you get a lot of turnovers and you lose football games and stuff like that. So, yeah, Herbert's impressive. He's always been fun to watch, even going back to his days at Oregon. So, it's going to be interesting. Next generation of quarterbacks. He's in that. He's getting there. I think he's got to win some more.
Oh yeah,
and really,
he's got to make
really
it into the playoffs because he hasn't been in the playoffs yet. Yeah,
he's got to have a prove it season, and I think this could be.
This is it. Yeah, this is it. This is.
I agree. Sure. I agree. I pretty much agree. I feel like, and I know it's early, based off week 1, this Chargers team could make it to the playoffs.
Yeah,
Look at last
that's
year.
not a wild thing.
Yeah, they're in my mind, they're a playoff team.
They were a playoff team last year. They had the talent to be a playoff team last year, and then of course their
coach
completely got a little cocky. And when you think about it, this was revenge for that because it was this team. There was the Raiders who decided not to tie. That game was insanity. I still can't believe that happened. Yeah, no, for sure. Herbert. I think that was Khalil Mack also caused a lot of destruction, and that Chargers defense. I mean, JC Jackson didn't even make his debut yet. So that's the thing too, is they got another defensive weapon coming in that's going to really help in that secondary. So for me, it's just you can see the difference here is, the Raiders are pretty much only going to go as far as Derek Carr and, Devontae Adams are going to take him. Whereas the Chargers, they just have so much, they keep Herbert can just give it to anybody and it's gonna work. The only thing that concerns me is their rushing attack. I mean, Austin Eckler had 14 carries and only 36 yards. That's not great. That's not good stats at all. When you're only getting 2.5 yards per carry, basically, every carry, that's not going to cut it. So they definitely need if they can get a better rushing, game, which obviously they kind of have to figure out by tomorrow, because they're playing the Chiefs. If they can get that
by tomorrow,
if they can get it figured out, I mean, it'll do wonders for them for sure. But I think, I mean, like I said, the Raiders, they gotta. I mean, it's only Josh McDaniels' first game as trying to implement his scheme onto these guys. So it might take a little bit for the other guys to catch up, but obviously greatness is going to do well. And, Devontae Adams is a great wide receiver. So he's going to figure it out quickly and he's going to get his.
Yeah, this is going to be really interesting in this division, obviously. I mean, we know we have a good idea of who's going to win the division, especially after what we saw the other night, which I know we're going to get to. So, but yeah, I think the Raiders will be fine. I just think the biggest thing is like you said, McDaniels. It takes time to establish yourself when you're a new head coach, and obviously since he hasn't been a head coach in so long as well. I mean, that's the other thing about this. And when he was a head coach last time, it didn't work out too well. So he's been an assistant for so long, and that's just what people have known him as. It was kind of time for him to get a second chance.
I actually forgot that he became the head coach to the Raiders. I thought he was still in New England. I really thought he was still in New England. And then I was like, wait, that's Josh McDaniels. I was like, oh my God, I totally forgot. He moved, he jumped ship finally.
Yeah. It was,
which I think it's really great for him too, that Josh McDaniels is there. He had a lot of experience with the Brady. New England Patriots, obviously. And
it helps to have Brady as your quarterback all those years too.
Yeah. Yeah, I really think he's gonna.
Easy.
Hey, he won with Tim Tebow.
True.
I really think he'll do good.
Yeah,
I really think he'll do
I
good.
think
with the Raiders.
I think he'll do well, and it's not like he's a young coach who hasn't proven himself. I mean, he's been around the game for so long. I think it's beyond time that he had another chance to become a head coach. So
Well, I mean, he was about to become the Colts head coach
Yeah,
like
that's
many
true.
years ago, but then the news of Andrew Luck came out, and he was like, "Nah, I ain't coming anymore. He
Yeah.
needed Andrew Luck to be his quarterback, and that
I
wasn't
think he
gonna happen."
I think he
so
did
think
better
he-
for himself doing that.
he made the
for
right
sure.
decision, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I think the Raiders will be fine. Derek Carr definitely was rusty. You could see it. So he'll
And their
he'll
running attack,
reel it
too.
in.
They barely
Yeah.
even ran the ball.
There was some really like bad running across the NFL.
Yeah, for sure.
All
Running and
weekend.
kicking.
And you're gonna
Oh my god, the kicking was atrociously bad.
and yeah,
Surprisingly, we're not talking about any of those games on our deep dives, but
Yeah, man.
So I mean, like you said, we've seen this across the NFL. If you're not going to be balanced in the run and the pass, it's not likely you're going to win. Because
Yeah, because I mean, let's face
not,
it, 50,
not entirely
45
true, but
45 to 50 passes every game is not sustainable for a quarterback. I mean, there's going to be some mistakes made there. So you have to be able to run the football somewhat effectively. But I think again, it's the first game of the season. Running backs are rusty, offensive line. They have to start to piece it all together and get ready for full game speed. It's an adjustment coming out of preseason when a lot of these guys don't even play, or see the field. They just, they stand there because they're getting paid all this money. Why would they play? There's no point.
But I think that's something that a lot of players are going to start looking at as to maybe playing the last preseason game just so that they can get some reps in, because a lot of dudes be coming out looking rusty in week 1 right now. And also they're just
out of shape, or there's
not
just
in football, like they're not used to all those reps. So it's like you can't just only get like training camp reps and then not get like some because in game is completely different.
Right.
Then you're going at a different speed and all that stuff. And it's just like once you're in, like look at the Packers. The Packers don't play any of their starters throughout all of preseason, and then the past 2 seasons they get completely blown out week 1.
So yeah, it's definitely a problem. But again,
I'm not saying add more preseason games at all either. Like I'm all for cutting down preseason, but I'm saying these guys got to at least play some of it.
Well, the big thing with preseason, not to harp on this too long, but you get those guys that are unproven or undrafted who have a chance to come in, and then they have a chance to sign with somebody, and they probably won't become a Hall of Famer. I don't think that's ever happened off the top of my mind, but they can become a solid, player on the roster. So, but I definitely agree with you, Carlos. I think it's something that is going to have to be discussed. But I guess the positive thing about it now is you have that, now we have 17 games. There's an extra game. So week 1, I'm not going to say it doesn't matter, but in the grand scheme of things, like you still have that extra week at the end. So, I think these teams will figure it out. The teams that showed rust, which pretty much every team had some bit of rust. I don't think we could look at any game and say that this team is perfect. So yeah. I don't even remember what we were originally talking about when we started talking about preseason, but yeah, here we are.
Talking about just rustiness.
Rustiness, yes.
Yeah.
So the Chargers defeat the Raiders 24-19 in our second game in the deep dive. Man, I'm just so glad football's back. Oh my gosh.
How many times are you going to say that before we go into break? Are you going to say that every time we're about to break? But last time we went to break, we're just so happy football's back. And now you're saying you're going into break this time. I'm so happy football's back.
Yeah.
My God.
Aren't we all?
I mean, I was footballed out, to be honest. I'm rusty on this stuff, man. Like, I was like, man, how the heck did we do this for 17 or 18 consecutive weeks last year? This was exhausting, man. I was like, this was exhausting. Like,
that's why we took a well-deserved off season. Which
we needed. I mean, we
hard.
got the World Cup in the middle of it. I mean, I'm gonna be exhausted in November, boys. I'm sorry.
And it's hard when you're driving and you have to listen to all these games and try to,
That's the other thing. You have to try to imagine
note of what's going on.
Yeah, you're probably on Sirius driving down to the beach or something.
Yeah. NFL radio is amazing because they go through all the games, they go live, and they jump back and forth. Which still, it's a lot to keep up with. It's like, holy crap, what game are we on here, and stuff like that. And
I didn't even realize that.
More like it was who missed the kick, really, because that happened a ton.
Kirby, that's because you're inconsiderate of Dan's situation, but it's fine.
Inconsiderate. I asked him nicely. I was like, and I even said,
I mean, look what you made him do. He's on vacation, and you're like, oh, we're still doing a podcast. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, he told me to bring my gear, so I'm gonna blame him for that one.
Listen. Okay, being on vacation, I don't find this podcast as work. I find it as a fun outlet to talk about sports. So
it's somewhere in the middle, I would say.
I mean, we still got to study. We still got to make sure we know what we're talking about. I mean, we have to watch every single game on Sunday.
All that stuff. Yeah.
We have boards like all around in the freaking war room.
A dog jumps in the chair while I'm drafting someone like Bill Belichick.
Exactly.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break, but we have a lot to unpack in the next
game. We're so happy football's back. We're so happy.
We'll be right back. Thanks for that, Carlos. Is it finally time to upgrade your home's interior? How about with an authentic farm table made locally from recycled barnwood? Shenandoah Primitives, based right here in Winchester, Virginia, makes farm tables, benches, tables, coffee tables, and a long list of other items for your home decorating needs. At Shenandoah Primitives, function and style are combined for great furniture that will last generations. If you're interested in combining the industrial look of metal with wood, or considering something incredibly unique with a live edge, Shenandoah Primitives turns those ideas into reality. Thinking about a mirror, wine rack, or other accent piece for your home, Shenandoah Primitives can assist with that as well. As a local small business, Shenandoah Primitives is happy to work with each client for a custom design or schedule an appointment to come out and view current inventory. Local, high-quality, handmade items can be found at Shenandoah Primitives. Find us on Facebook and Instagram or visit us at www.shenandoahprimitives.com. Once again, that's www.shenandoahprimitives.com. Welcome back. I have some words to say, and this might take us on a rant. I'm not really sure yet.
Here we go.
The Seahawks 17, the Broncos 16, and Russell Wilson's return to Seattle. First and foremost, for everything Russell Wilson has done for the Seattle Seahawks and their franchise, you decide to boo him walking out.
Okay. I'm going to stop you right there, okay? To me, that was actually the ultimate sign of respect to Russell Wilson, because for them, they were like, yo, like, we love, like there is no animosity in the fan base to Russell Wilson. They love Russell Wilson. They do. I mean, he brought him a Super Bowl. He brought him a lot of good times and success. Okay. There is but for them, they're like, listen, just because of that, like, just because now you play for the other team. So we're going to treat you just like any other opponent. So we're going to boo the crap out of you. Yeah. And make life a living hell in here to make you realize, hey, when you used to play in the stadium, you had it easy, but now you decided to leave. We're going to make this the hardest night of your life. And they showed him what it's like for other quarterbacks. I saw it as the ultimate sign of respect. I didn't see it as disrespect.
And I quote, all he did for that franchise, and that's how the fans treat him.
Why are you quoting me?
Terrible.
Could you not?
Well, that's what Dan said.
That's a gut reaction on the night
Me
of the
and
game.
Dan are on the same page here, Carlos. You're outnumbered 2-1.
I don't care. I can take the both of you. Look, who has it? Who has it? Who has it? Who has it? I do.
I mean, Carlos has a point, but I don't know. I know that's just what fans do for the opposite team. I mean, look, we know how sports work. We know how that is. But yeah, to me, it's a weird situation. It was pretty much written in stone that Russ was going to leave. It wasn't a shock when the season ended and he went to Denver. It's not like he said he was going to stay with Seattle at the end of the season and then parted ways. This was something. Yeah, it was strange. Because throughout the season there was a lot of flip-flopping that happened where he would say, things like, I want to stay in Seattle. And then, and then it got like, I would say in the second half of the season, and he wouldn't really comment on it much. And then of course, at the end of the season, it was pretty much well known that he was going to leave. So if he had just like up and left, I think I would have understood it a lot more. Like, yeah, the way he would have handled it, if it was poorly done. Although Russell Wilson is a weird guy, I just think he's a strange person. He's just a strange guy.
I agree.
First of all, he high fives no one. He does like weird quarterback drills to invisible people and says things like Carlos said, "Let's Broncos Nation, let's ride."
Let's ride.
So cringy, but besides the cringy stuff.
Here's my next point.
Okay.
You're in the red zone.
I'm going in a rant, but go ahead. I think you know how I feel about this. I think it's, I don't know. I
think in the heat of the moment, you were like, this is disrespectful. And honestly, that's probably most people's reaction. But when you sit down and you really think about it, you really realize, hey, this was actually the ultimate sign of respect to Russell Wilson.
Fans. Yeah. And it's fans being fans.
It's Seattle. I mean, that's what they're known for, to be loud and obnoxious in terms of, I mean, that's actually Philly fans, but to be, but their reputation in Seattle in that stadium is they just have to be loud and they just have to make it a nightmare for the visiting team, which is what they did to Russell Wilson. He's on the visiting team now. He's not the home player. They don't,
It's a good point.
I mean, don't forget. I mean, Brady, when he went back to New England, I mean, sure, they cheered him when he first came out, but that's because he brought them 6 Super Bowls. But as soon as the game started, they booed the crap out of him.
Yep.
That's a little different than coming out of the tunnel, though, and, seeing the player for the first time. But that's just me. I think if you boo once the game starts, okay, that's fair, completely fair game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fair game. It's a free country. Like, do whatever the hell you want to do. It's legal. But someone quote that. Someone put that down. That's a Danism right there. But yeah, I'm sort of
free country.
It's a free country. I guess I'm more in the middle now. Carlos he's convinced me a little bit, but
that's what I'm saying. I think now you're just like you see it, but then
I hear
like,
both sides.
Yeah.
I sort of see.
And Kirby's just solely on it's disrespectful side because Kirby just is Kirby.
It's hot take Kirby.
Yeah, hot take Kirby. So the next point I wanted to bring up in this game is the fact that the Broncos were in the red zone 2 or 3 times and fumbled 2 or 3 times.
Okay. Wow. Take a deep breath.
I mean,
right?
wow.
Don't forget, people listen to this in their earbuds, man.
He thinks he's like Christopher Mad Dog Russo or something.
In the red zone. I was watching that game. I was like, oh my goodness.
How do you not hand Marshawn Lynch the ball in the red zone?
There's a lot of what ifs. Yeah.
Listen, it's football. Anything can happen. Okay. I mean, honestly, the Broncos should have won this game. They should have won this game, and they should have won it handily.
So many opportunities.
They like you said, they fumbled it twice in the red zone, and then obviously. We can talk. We'll probably talk about the blunder later on. We'll talk about it when we get there. I'm gonna wait until we get there.
Oh boy.
Okay. And then on top of that, like Kirby, you were over here hyping up Geno Smith's stats in the first half. He had great stats in the first half. That second half, man, he played really bad. He was not good in the second half at
people
all.
were writing Gino off. He wasn't writing back.
Look, I'm still right.
Here we go.
I'm still right.
That was
Congratulations. This was Seattle's Super Bowl. Okay, everybody's saying they can go 1-16 from here on out. But guess what? They
can
beat
talk about
Russell Wilson.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Geno Smith played the first half of his life. Okay, but guess what? At the end of the day, you only played one good half, and then the Broncos basically fumbled the game away, and then made one dumb rookie coaching decision, that costed them the game. But in reality, you guys didn't really win this game. The Broncos lost it.
Yeah, the Broncos had their fair share of opportunities.
Yes, of course.
And with the veteran quarterback, you expect them to be able to execute said opportunities, including clock management, which I'm sure we will discuss.
We are going to touch on that.
Listen.
We are going to touch on that.
That angered me to the core. I was kidding me. Not even a Broncos fan.
You gave Russell Wilson a contract and just extended him. And Mr. Nathaniel Hackett decides we're going to kick a 64-yard field goal.
Hey, you're blowing my eardrum out here, man.
He thought Justin Tucker was his kicker.
In Seattle in week 1.
Dude, in the history of the NFL, that kick has only been made twice.
Mm-hmm.
One by one, the GOAT, Justin Tucker, and one by somebody else. I don't even freaking know who.
Probably
Janet the stats are not on.
Might be.
For the people who played the analytics game, which I assume Nathaniel Hackett does because he's a rookie head coach. Boy, he really didn't look
fair enough.
He
really did not
goes
look
back
at the
the
analytics on
next
that
game,
kick.
like looking at it now, we should have went for it.
Yeah, he said it he said the next day.
Listen, at least he admitted it, though. At least he admitted that he messed up because most coaches are like, "Oh no, I
stand by the decision."
I thought, at least he was like, "Hey, I should have gone for it. That's my bad. It's a rookie mistake." But also, like, his clock management was terrible. They had all 3 timeouts in that last minute, and they waited until the 40-second mark to call a timeout. Like, you got Peyton Manning, poor Peyton Manning, sitting in his studio or whatever, sitting there, bringing the quarterback out of him, going, timeout.
60 times he called for a timeout. Yeah, I saw a video today. It was pretty great.
Insanity. And like it's 4th and 5. Like, and that's the thing is that what was it? It was like 3rd and 16 the play before.
Yeah,
and it was just a little dunk. It was just a little dunk pass that got 11 yards. Right, if Russell Wilson knew it was going to be a field goal, then like that they were going for a field goal on the next play, he would have done something different. But I think he was running that 3rd and long, expecting that they were going to go for it on that on the next play. A 4th and 5, you got Russell Wilson. You're paying that dude lots of money. You have good weapons on that team,
and you kick a 64-yard field goal.
It's just insanity. I don't understand.
Yeah, it's bad all the way around.
It was bad coaching. It was bad coaching. It was bad situational football there. It was just not great.
Well, it also it makes you blame Russell Wilson a little bit as well. He is the starting quarterback, and he is getting paid a lot of money to do that job. He has to know he's a smart guy. He sees the play clock. He knows how much time is left on it. And
that was another thing. That was another thing too. They kept running that play clock down all the way, and it made no sense why they were doing that.
Yep. And it's just bad all the way around. Like we said, the Seahawks didn't really win this game. The Broncos lost it.
Did you see at the very end when there was no hope? He was burning all his timeouts so like a miracle would happen.
It just made no sense. It made no sense.
At that point, he had to sort of save, quote unquote, save face, I guess. Even though it did.
It's the time old joke of like you don't get to take your timeouts with you. Like you don't get extra points for having your timeouts.
Yeah.
Like you use them. So why are you not using them in the last 2 minutes of the game when your guy gets tackled inbounds? It's going to be 4th and 5. Call a timeout, talk it over, and see if this is the play you want to do. Don't wait because when he got tackled, there was like a minute and like 2 left in the game. right? So if he would have called a timeout, let's say he would have got it down to a minute, right? It would have been that again. Then you get time to figure out, okay, what's the play we want to run here? It's 4th and 5. Do we really want to try a 64-yard field goal that's only been made twice ever in the history of the NFL by two great kickers, which you do not have? You're not in Denver, where maybe that would have had a chance because there's no oxygen up there. Like, I don't know. I don't know what. I mean, it was a terrible rookie coach decision there, and that's definitely something he needs to figure out. Because listen, man, if you can't time manage, yeah, you're screwed.
And like I said, Russell had to know, like, we have 3 timeouts, and that's the point where the coach gets out of the way and lets Russell Wilson do what he wants to do, what he has to
Let Russ cook. That was the whole point of why he wanted out of Seattle.
Let Geno cook.
God.
That's the new hashtag rumbling around.
It is
rumbling around, is it?
Rumbling around.
I like that. Instead of trending, rumbling around. I like that.
Trending.
Sounds like the Wild West. Yeah, this game was a complete mess for the Broncos. Very disappointing. This was supposed to be an easy win, I think, in their eyes and pretty much everyone's eyes. Russ was supposed to go in there and, like we said, he's supposed to cook, and just didn't happen. Got to give Seattle a bunch of credit, especially like Carlos said, they played a great first half. Geno Smith played a great first half. And
defensively, they held up in that second half, but the offense, Seattle offense was terrible.
It was the bend don't break mentality on defense, pretty much most of the game, but especially in the second half. They did just enough, and they had a little luck. So hey,
I think the other thing that we're not considering here, man, is like these are games you can't drop, especially in the division that they're in. You know, again, it's the group of death. I mean, Kansas City, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, and them, and they're all great teams right now. You can't, because it's games like this that are going to be the difference into whether they're going to make the playoffs or not. Because remember, only one's going to be the division winner, and then there are 3 wild card spots that are available, and there's a bunch of other teams fighting for those spots. And how competitive the AFC is, where you got the Miamis, you've got give me another AFC team. You got the Ravens, or the Ravens are probably going to win the division, but also you got like the Bengals or whatever. There's just no guarantees that you're going to make the playoffs when you're playing in such a competitive division. You can't drop easy games like this, because the thing is they're going to knock each other off. Like when they play each other, these teams are going to beat up on each other, and they're going to give each other, obviously one team is going to lose all the time whenever they play each other. But that's the thing, is games like this against Seattle, where you're clearly the better team. Sure, you're coming into a hostile environment, but you had multiple opportunities to win this game. You can't drop games like this, because nothing is guaranteed. Especially, again, you still have 6 games against killer teams coming up.
Yeah, and especially because their schedule is not easy either. Their game on Sunday is against the Texans, and we all know from what we saw in that game, not going to be an easy chalk it up win, especially the way the Broncos played. So it could be a very tough season for Denver, especially if they continue to start slow like they did on Monday night. And yeah, it's just strange. Let's hope they can, well, for their sake, because I'm not really a Broncos fan, but let's hope they can make some adjustments and start to, pick up the energy a little bit too. Because I felt like that was lacking for them as well. There was really no tempo in the first half. We didn't see, when I think of Russell Wilson, I think of sort of a quick tempo type of offense that he played in his I would say his earlier days in Seattle when they were really successful. Mm-hmm. And there just seemed to be no energy with that team. So. And it helped that they had the Legion of Boom back then too. But anyway, yeah, it could be a tough season for the Broncos if they don't get it going on Sunday against the Texans. Look out! I think if they drop to 0-2, obviously your chances of making the postseason are very difficult. You have to really step up after that. So
yeah, I agree.
But yeah, it's This is definitely a huge win for Seattle, though, too. a nice bragging win. I'm not really sure what's going to happen the rest of the season for them. Geno Smith, I think this was sort of a one-off show for him. This is sort of his Tim Tebow type moment, except this obviously wasn't the playoffs.
It's their Super Bowl though.
Yeah, but it's their, like Carlos said at the start of the segment here. I mean, this was their Super Bowl. So,
yep,
of recency, I should say, because they actually have won a Super Bowl in our lifetime.
This was their Super Bowl for the season.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I must say, yes, it was a crazy game. It's just really crazy that it came down like that, but it did. And the Seahawks beat the Broncos 17-16. But boys, the main storyline is I turn it on and I'm listening
the Joe
to
Buck Troy Aikman thing. I was just about to bring that up, to be completely honest.
And
yeah.
I was like, man, Joe Buck and Troy Aikman on Monday Night Football. Now, it's going to take me a little bit to adjust to that. But just hearing him on Monday night and not to the Fox theme on America's Game of the Week. Because if you watched America's Game,
he has to call it. Why do you call it? Why don't you just call it on Fox? Why do you have to call it America's Game of the Week?
Fox calls the.
Who cares? Nobody else calls it that. Nobody else, no other podcast, no other radio show. Nobody says Joe Buck on America's Game of the Week. No, everybody says Joe Buck on Fox. Nobody says. I mean, Monday Night Football is an establishment. America's Game of the Week is not an establishment. Stop it. Just stop it.
That's what Fox says. I'm just going by.
I don't care what Fox says. Okay. Nobody else calls it that.
Listen. Let me get to my point. If you watch the Packers and the Vikings game, the way they opened it with all the Vikings fans, skull, and then Kevin Burkhardt comes in, the new number 1 team. Yeah, he introduced it pretty well.
He's fine, but he's not.
He's fine. That's the weakest. That's the weakest commentating team, in my opinion.
Greg Olsen,
Fox. I think Fox in general.
No, but listen, But if Joe Buck was in that booth, I feel like he would have presented that intro so much better.
No, think about it. Joe Buck has been doing it for years. He's been the number 1 for a long time. So, yeah.
So a lot of experience.
I like that he's on Monday Night Football because finally they have a competent announcing team on Monday Night Football because they have had terrible teams the past
bad
couple
people.
Years.
Oh, yeah.
Commentating games.
I mean, Booger McFarlane, for God's sakes.
He's still on Monday Night. He's on Countdown now.
I don't mind him. I don't mind him
as a studio guy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't mind him as a studio guy.
Yeah.
As the color commentator, he was terrible, and I couldn't stand him.
Good old RG3 and Larry Fitzgerald on Countdown.
Yeah. RG3 and Larry Fitzgerald on Countdown.
RG3 outraced the Hawk in a suit.
He's pretty good. I got to say RG3 is a pretty good broadcaster because he also does college games as well.
Did you hear after when he beat the Hawk, he was like, I think the Cowboys just called me.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh.
And then he was walking back and never mind. I was going to make No, wait, he wasn't at FedEx Field, so he'd probably be okay.
And Larry Fitzgerald on that studio team now too, so that's pretty interesting. All these broadcaster mix matches. Then tomorrow, Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit.
So that is an interesting combination. That one's going to be interesting, and I'm excited for that one. Honestly,
oh yeah,
me too.
I mean, it's just a lot of shuffling. I mean, I still think obviously Joe Buck, Troy Aikman are. I don't know if they're the number 1 team. I still like Jim Nantz, Tony Romo. I just think whenever they call a game, it's always exciting. Yeah. Tony Romo can get a little annoying, he can try. He sometimes he does a little too much, but I still love the guy. He was my quarterback for a lot of years, brought me a lot of good times and a lot of bad times.
I was gonna say.
But I would put them at number 1. I would put Troy Aikman, Joe Buck number 2.
I'm glad Tirico gets the actual.
Yeah, but I don't know if him and Collinsworth have that same chemistry that Collinsworth and Al Michaels had.
It also takes time. Like
That's what I'm saying. So right now, I think I would put them
Hard
at
to-
number 3. I would put Greg Olsen and Kevin Burkhardt at number 4, and then
because they're not bad, but they have to build chemistry.
But
Takes time.
I can't really put Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit on the ranking just yet because we haven't heard him yet. We haven't heard him yet. So once after tomorrow, they'll probably be in the 3-2 range if I had to guess, just because I mean, Kirk Herbstreit is great on college football. Obviously, love listening to him call a game. And Al Michaels is a legend. Yeah,
Al Michaels is one of the best ever to do it. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I think if I have a feeling they're going to click really well, and I agree. I agree with your list, Carlos. I think I have the same list because Nance and Romo to me are number 1. I mean, Nance is just. I mean, what can you say that hasn't been said about the guy? He's literally a living legend.
But the funny thing is that it wasn't until he got in the booth with Romo that Nance really
his personality flourished.
Came out, because Phil Simms, man, was so boring.
Yeah, Jim. Say you throw the ball, get down there for the field, and
boring.
Get home for dinner. There's something on the skillet. Yeah, I'm like, what is this guy talking about? No, Phil Simms.
We're going on commentator talk right now. We still got a bunch of games we gotta go on about, but
our hurry up offense has to be hurried.
And I'm gonna bring up something too. I might offend Carlos by saying this, but Jason Garrett's not good. He's not good for NBC. I just don't like it.
In what world does that offend me? I was not a Jason Garrett stan. I wanted him gone like 5 years before he was gone.
Do you like him for NBC or not?
I don't watch whenever they do their pregame coverage, we're still in the 4 o'clock games. So it's like I don't spend a lot of time with him. And at halftime, I'm not watching the halftime show.
You know what they should do? They should give Urban Meyer and Jason Garrett their own show just to see how terrible it is. Because people would watch it just to see the train wreck. Urban Meyer is egregiously bad at broadcasting. Just awful. I don't know if you guys. Kirby probably saw some of his big noon kickoff pregame and halftime. It's just bad. It's just
really bad. I didn't even watch.
Surprised he didn't kick anybody in the.
You didn't watch Alabama, Texas?
I'm sorry, I was working. I wish Alabama would have lost. That would have been amazing.
No. That is the one time I was like, please don't lose this Alabama, because Texas fans would become insufferable if they would have won that.
And they would have said Texas is back, like they always do after a big win.
Alabama would have lost. They might have been impacted for a chance not to be in the
No. Listen, let's be honest. Even if they lost last year and they still made it in. Yeah, a one-loss Bama team still gets in. They lost to Texas A&M last year, and they still got in.
Yeah.
Their quarterback won the Heisman.
Good old Notre Dame, though.
Okay, we're getting into college football. We still got.
All right, we got to
hurry up.
I'm so happy football's back. Yes, go to break now.
The Seahawks beat the Broncos. We'll be back with more right after this.
What was the score?
Hey, sports fans. Thank you for listening to and supporting the Kirby on Sports podcast with founder and host Josh Kirby, along with lead contributor Dan Demski. Like, subscribe, and give them a 5-star rating wherever you get your podcast from. My name is Dr. Dave Miles, founder of Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation. Our company helps leaders build engaged and productive teams. Exclusively for listeners of the Kirby on Sports podcast, you can take an opportunity to discover your primary communication style and learn more about effective communication with others. Text Kirby to 757-903-0743 for your free copy of the Working From Home Communication Assessment, where you'll learn your primary communication style, how to better communicate with others not like you, and tips on working remotely based on your personal communication style. 10 minutes, tons of resources. Learn about yourself and your team. Again, text Kirby to 757-903-0743 for your free assessment report today. I'm Dr. Dave Miles, founder of Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation, where we help you and your team be more engaged and productive by understanding each other better. Back to you, Josh.
Oh, I'm so glad
splish splash. I was taking a bath. Man,
I'm so glad football's back.
You know, boys. Okay, hold on. Before we move on, I just want to say I'm upset with the both of you.
Why?
I'm upset with the both of you.
Why?
You guys done me wrong.
Huh?
You guys both had an in-person episode without me. Live from Studio K. And your boy was not invited. Well, I mean, I was dealing with some family stuff,
I did.
But still,
didn't you message that you had something else going on.
I literally just said I had some family issues going on.
Okay.
But still, the fact that you guys then all of a sudden made it happen.
Here's
hurt.
what
that was all him.
Here's my rebuttal. This isn't my podcast. So there you go. That puts the blame squarely on Studio K.
I'm hurt.
Studio, you got something?
Well, it wasn't really going to happen like that until last minute. Dan was
That is true. It was.
I'm in town.
I was in town, and then it was
let's just knock it out.
Yeah,
it's like if you're in town, why just Zoom from across the street when just come over and gets it done a whole lot faster.
But it's not worth it.
He doesn't live across the street from you.
Yeah, hypothetically.
Can I Zoom from here? I got my podcast set
We
up.
did. Wait, hold on. Did we not Zoom? Well, I mean, we were in the middle of COVID, so never mind.
Yeah, we had some COVID Zooms. Zoomies. Anyway.
All right, gentlemen. It's the hurry up offense. Are we ready for the fastest recap of the rest of the games?
And it's over.
Chris Berman.
Kirby did not call his timeouts. We tried a 64-yard field goal, and unfortunately, we missed. So, I mean, sorry. Well, better luck next time.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Running
see you guys
down
next
the
week.
list. Gentlemen, let's get ready. The Saints over the Falcons. The Falcons blow yet another lead. And Jameis Winston throws up. Oh,
Stop.
there we go.
Stop.
The win.
Dude, get those digits off my screen right now.
But the Saints came back and won. Jameis looked to be hurt there for a moment, but I mean, the Falcons, I'm not sure how they blew this lead, but they did, and the Saints win.
How did they blow 28-3? It's the Falcons. They're cursed, man.
They blow lead after lead after lead. That great graphic with all the games they've blown over the years, starting with that 28-3, and then there's I don't know 4 or 5 other games on there, which I forgot about most of those. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot they blew. I forgot they blew. Oh yeah, So
the problem,
typical Falcons.
Yeah. The problem with the Falcons is they play. They get a big lead, and then they play not to lose instead of continuing to play to win. And then that's where it bites them. So I'll leave it at that. The Saints look good. Nice to see Michael Thomas back. Yeah, I mean, nothing else needs to be said here.
Yeah, I got nothing to add to that.
The Browns over the Panthers. Baker Mayfield's probably upset that Jacoby Brissett.
Baker Mayfield did another great thing for Cleveland. He, breaking streaks for Cleveland. Gets them to the playoffs. Gets them their first playoff win. And also gets them their first win in week 1 in ages. Let's go. Shout out to Baker. Just doing it. Just a man of the people. A man of the people of Cleveland.
And Jacoby Brissett getting emotional after his start. 1834, 147 and a touchdown.
Yeah, he played well. But Chubb was the difference maker in this game. I mean, he had almost 150 yards rushing, and he was huge for the Browns in this game. So it takes a lot of pressure off a quarterback who has not started in a while, and is going to have to start for 10 more weeks, right? Isn't that
no? He started. He started last year too. Remember, he played for Tua.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. It's just he hasn't played at a great level since he left Indianapolis.
True.
Brand new head coach Matt Eberflus and the Chicago Bears beat Trey Lance and the 49ers 19-10. Gentlemen, do we think this Trey Lance era will last the entire season?
Just stop right here. Okay, it's week 1. Relax on Trey Lance. Also, they played in the middle of a monsoon. The field was absolutely atrocious. I can't put the blame completely on Trey Lance here. If he plays terrible this week, then we're going to have some cause for concerns.
Yeah, I don't know.
And they replaced the turf 2 days earlier.
Fields played pretty well, so
But Fields didn't. He didn't play well. I mean, he played well in the second half, I guess, but I mean, in the first half, it's not like he was playing well either.
Yeah, it was just one of those. I mean, like you said, the weather was terrible.
A huge factor.
But yeah, I agree with Carlos. I think if he struggles this week, then there's some cause for concern because he was atrociously bad in this game. But we'll see.
Here's the next game. The former AFC champion, the Bengals, and Joe Burrow throws 4 interceptions. And this game was just a train wreck up until the very last second of overtime where Pittsburgh's kicker finally makes a kick. How the Bengals look this bad? I mean, am I just dreaming?
Well, Kirby, they weren't world beaters last season. Again, against the Bears last year, he threw 4 picks. Yeah. Joe Burrow got hot in the playoffs.
Their regular season was really not great. Yeah,
I mean, the regular season, they got hot towards the end. Yeah, they got hot towards the end. And obviously, the other thing was Baltimore completely fell apart because of their injuries. Mm-hmm. And then they pulled off, and they won the division. Wait, did they win? They didn't win the division. It was Pittsburgh that won the division, correct? No, it wasn't Pittsburgh. But who won the division?
It was
Cincinnati won the division.
Cincinnati, yeah.
Was it Cincinnati? Did they have a playoff game? Did they have a? Yeah, they did because they beat the Raiders. That's right. My memory comes back to me.
The Steelers were a wild card. Yeah,
that's what it was. Yeah. So they win the division, but again, it's not like they started off hot. And besides all that, like they still had a chance to win this. It's just their long snapper got hurt, and then their backup long snapper had terrible snaps. The holder couldn't get the ball right, and McPherson kicked the laces and missed the field goal.
Just terrible altogether.
It could have almost been another tie. I thought it was going to, but Pittsburgh made the kick, and Mitch Trubisky gets his first win as a starter for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I mean, listen, the Cincinnati Bengals are going to get it on track this week.
Coined here today by yours truly.
The Cincinnati Bengals, they're going to get it together. Here, when they beat up on my beloved Cowboys, but what can you do?
Yeah, I don't expect this to last for long. As far as them being in bad shape, I think Cincinnati's going to be fine.
Yeah,
as far as Pittsburgh is concerned, I don't know. I
don't know either. I don't know what to make of that team. They lost TJ Watt. That's a tough injury. Yeah, he's going to be out for like 2 months with that torn pec.
Something about him. I mean, just the Watts in general. They just
Watts, man. I mean,
injured all the time.
And when they announced JJ Watt wasn't going to play, I was like, oh, what a surprise! When does he ever play?
Yeah,
that man. I mean, they're athletic freaks, but man, can they not? They can't stay healthy for the life of them.
Never. They never can. It's a shame.
All righty, here the Washington Commanders beat the Jacksonville Jaguars 28-22.
Listen.
That was a heart attack.
Listen, like I said, Kirby, get used to it. That is the Carson Wentz experience. He righted the ship though, and that is the good thing is that he did get it figured out because it was looking really bad there for a second. Like it really looked like. And to be completely honest, Jacksonville probably should have won this game considering they were moving the ball pretty easily against them.
I agree.
They were in the red zone multiple times.
To shreds.
Yeah, they were. Jacksonville was in, and
Derek Forrest looked incredible.
Sure, but
I hope you saw that hit though. That was oh my gosh. When's the last time a defenseman for Washington had a hard hit like that?
I don't watch Washington like that to really know or care.
Yeah. It hasn't happened for a while.
But listen, I think another thing we can say on this game is Jacksonville, they're going to be fine this season. I think they're going to win. I'm not saying playoffs or anything like that, but we're definitely going to see a lot of improvement under Doug Peterson that we obviously didn't see under Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
Total enemy.
Yeah, he is. He kicked me one time. I've never forgiven him. Yeah, I think this is a good, this was a good step for the Jags. And like we talked about with the other coaches starting a new places, obviously Doug Peterson, it's going to take a few weeks to get that going in the right direction. But Trevor Lawrence had a good game. He played pretty solid. I think the Jags will be fine. They just have to stick with the head coach too. I think that's part of the problem for them. They both can't hire the road coach, and also they don't give the said coach enough time to really instill their new identity. So I think I hope they do that with Doug Peterson. For Washington, Yeah, I think like Carlos said, it was the Carson Wentz experience. It was the roller coaster of emotions, the euphoric highs and the depressing lows of being a Washington Commander fan. So, which Kirby, I'm sure every Sunday is going to be like that this year for you.
Man,
So.
Kirby's gonna lose hair by the end of this freaking season. All right, let's move on.
Ball is a cue ball.
The Eagles beating the Lions 38-35. Could this be a different Lions team this year? Because this game was very, very
no.
close.
This was the Lions last year too. I mean, they made a lot of games close. The
close
thing you can't say about the Lions is that the Lions are going to fight, and there was a lot of times they looked like they were out of this game.
And they're going to fight
for
kneecaps,
me, this is more of a for me. This is more of a show that maybe Philly defensively is not as good as people were thinking they were going to be. I mean, ultimately, Philly's got a pretty easy path now to win the division with Dak Prescott being out and the way Dallas looks, right? But the fact that they really struggled and only won by 3 points to put away this Lions team is not a good sign, not a good look on the Eagles.
Yeah, I got nothing to add to that. Carlos is right about the Lions, though. They were in a lot of close games last year. They just couldn't finish. So maybe that turns around this year. I don't think it will, because the Lions are still just a bad organization, in my opinion. Just ownership on down. So
here's the next game here. Mike McDaniel, you can put on your resume the first game you coached, you beat Bill Belichick 20-7. Wow.
Yeah. This
Mike McDaniel's goofy though. He's a funny head coach.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy. I'll say that much. But yeah, this does not look like this didn't look like a Patriots team.
Guys, is it me or
is this the end?
Yeah, are we done with Bill Belichick? I just don't think he has it anymore.
Yeah, I do. It's hard. It's hard. For so many years.
It's only week 1 too. It's only week 1.
But still, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think so. I don't know if it's he doesn't have it or if the game has sort of passed him by now that like things have changed. I mean, let's face it, since Bill Belichick started coaching, and he doesn't have Tom Brady to cover up his mistakes anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
what are you gonna do?
The other thing, Mac Jones obviously was hurt at the end of this game, injured his back. I don't know if he was on the injury report or not. I'm not sure, or what his update is. But yeah, man, I mean, the Patriots, just the same old problems. No weapons for Mac Jones to really work with, or any quarterback that the Patriots have had there. Tom Brady obviously always made it work for the most part. But no, I mean, in terms of the Dolphins, this is a good way to start. I mean, they obviously put everything in to try to compete with the Bills. Going and trading for Tyreek, and then of course having Jalen Waddle and all that. I mean, they look good. They look good, and I'm interested to see how they go from here.
Yeah, I think the Dolphins are a fun team to watch, and they could be a team that could be the surprise team of the season. I think, and yeah, as far as the Patriots are concerned, Mac Jones, just to update you, Carlos, he did practice today, was a full participant, which is a good sign for them. Good. But you gotta wonder, like, back injury. It's pretty. I mean, that's not something you want to mess with. So we'll see what happens throughout the week. Hopefully he doesn't re-aggravate it or something. But yeah, the Dolphins are going to be a team to keep a close eye on the season. I think they could surprise a lot of people.
All right, the Ravens taking care of business against Joe Flacco and the Jets. Yeah,
is there much to really say here? I mean, the Ravens are who we thought they were, unless you're Kirby, who really thought the Jets were somehow going to pull an upset here.
No, I was just stating
lies, Kirby. It doesn't surprise me that you thought that. You try to be hot take Kirby all the time, cream cheese over here, trying to get under people's skin, try to be the Stephen A of the podcast. It's okay. I get it.
The Colts and the Texans tie.
Apparently, I don't get a chance to talk about.
I know, right? We don't give Dan a chance to talk about his
Go ahead, Dan. Go ahead.
Jesus.
The Ravens.
We're starting the season off.
2 words: Lamar Jackson. That's really all I got to say. And also the defense played really well. I mean, that's
Lamar.
Now it helps that we're playing the Jets. So let's wait and see what happens when we get to play some more formidable offenses. But
You guys play the Dolphins next, so
yeah, oof, man, we'll see. We'll see how good that defense is. It's going to test us. That's for sure.
Colts and Texans tie. First tie of the season.
Just skip.
Skip.
I mean, the only thing to say about that is, man, the Matt Ryan era is off to a great start, isn't it?
I really thought it was gonna. Well, it's still early, but I guess a tie's not the worst thing in the world. But
yeah, I guess not. But still, I mean, they should have beaten the Texans pretty handily.
Definitely.
But the Texans are a scrappy team, man. They really are.
Those interdivision games are always. I mean, throughout the NFL are always pretty. They could a lot, especially early season, could go either way.
Very unpredictable. Very unpredictable.
Exactly. I couldn't think of the word. Thank you, Carlos.
All right, Carlos.
Oh, are we doing it? Okay, hold on. I'm not ready. Okay. Hold on.
Got to clear your throat.
Okay, hold on. A disclaimer, everybody listening in earbuds, you might want to turn it down for a few seconds because it's about to get really loud. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. And the home of the Chiefs.
44-21, Carlos.
Listen, Patrick Mahomes, allow me to reintroduce myself. I am a former league MVP, one-time Super Bowl champion, one-time Super Bowl MVP. Okay? Y'all must have forgot. Y'all think this boy in Buffalo is the guy? No. This whole season, I'm going to prove you guys wrong. You guys doubt me. I'm going to prove you wrong. And guess what he did? He went out and proved everybody wrong. He didn't need Tyreek. Tyreek Hill wasn't the whole offense. Sure, he brought a whole new dynamic to the game, okay? But we don't need that, okay? We traded him away, got a lot of resources back, and we redistributed the wealth and rebuilt the wide receiving core, okay? Listen, it's the Arizona Cardinals. They're not impressive. I mean, they were blitzing him consistently, and Patrick Mahomes was lighting him up because, honestly, why are you blitzing Patrick Mahomes?
That new contract Kyler got looked really good on him right about now.
Jeez. I mean, can we talk about a more undeserving player to get paid? What has Kyler Murray accomplished?
Nothing.
Okay. Lamar, like if you were going to pay that much for Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson definitely deserves all that guaranteed money because the man has won an MVP. The man has won a playoff game. Okay. He's been to the playoffs multiple times and has not had those that terrible playoff performance that Kyler Murray had. Okay. Sure. To me, this really shows how bad or how desperate Arizona was to have a game, I don't know, whatever, a generational talent quarterback type guy. It's not Kyler Murray. I just don't think he's good. Obviously, not having DeAndre Hopkins doesn't help. And just that secondary, I mean, aside from their safeties, I mean, they just got nobody. So good on the Chiefs. Once again, like I said, Patrick Mahomes reintroducing himself and letting the world know that, he's about to have an FU year to everybody.
Hot take time. I think Cliff Kingsbury at the end of the season will be fired.
Oh, I say he's first coach fired. He's in the hot seat for first coach fired.
He's already in the hot seat now, I think. So yeah. Maybe it's not a hot take.
All right. The next game, obviously, we spoke on this earlier. The Packers get destroyed like they did last year. They got destroyed by the Saints last year in Jacksonville because of the hurricane and everything. This year, the Vikings and Kirk Cousins and his dad lawn mowing outfit in post game. But
Jesus.
But man, I mean, Rodgers must be missing some of his weapons right now. I'll say that.
Shopping at Kohl's.
Shopping at Kohl's.
Hey, man.
That Kohl's cat.
I mean, listen, at least we know he's not going to go broke from like buying expensive clothes. I mean,
right.
At least he's being smart with his money. I mean, that's the thing that, a lot of rich people say is, hey, you don't need all the flashy stuff, man. Like that doesn't actually bring you any wealth.
Are the Packers in trouble?
No, relax.
No, the Packers will be fine.
Listen, everybody's overreacting again. Like I brought up last year, or not last year. Like I brought up a couple seconds. Yeah, because we podcast whatever. But like I said, last season they got blown out by the Saints, and they completely went.
It lit their fire. Yeah.
It's just week one, man. But for me, I think this is more of like Minnesota needed this game to kind of be like, hey, like, look at us now. Like, because a lot of people are putting them in as their dark horse because they did just get a new coach who's a very good offensive mind. Obviously he was the Rams' former offensive coordinator, if I remember correctly, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So
he used to be in Washington too, if you remember.
Dude, it is insanity how many good coaches Washington used to have. It is insane. They had Sean McVay.
And guess what? They're not there anymore.
Yeah. They had the LaFleur brothers. Like they had Kyle Shanahan and all that. Like they had all these dudes and like what happened? But I digress. That's a different point. To wrap this up real quickly. Yeah, I mean, Justin Jefferson, really came out and played. I really like this new look. I think getting a new coach in and getting Zimmer out has really re-energized the franchise, and I think they're gonna make a decent run here.
Yeah, the Vikings could be a team that another team that I put on the NFC side that could surprise some people again this year.
Dark horse pick for sure.
Dark horse pick to make a deep run into the postseason, and I almost think they have to. I mean, when you're paying your quarterback what they're paying Kirk Cousins, he hasn't gotten you there. He hasn't really shown anything in the postseason. So I want him to get there, and I want him to prove that he's worth that money. And if you look at Cousins' numbers just in his career, I mean, he's a solid quarterback, especially in his time in Minnesota. He's been a solid quarterback. I think last year he threw like 34, 35 touchdowns or something. But his problem is closing games. Can he consistently close games this season? I think that's going to be the number one thing the Vikings have to count on if they want to be in the postseason. Can Kirk Cousins put the game away? Because so many times he's thrown interceptions, or they've gone 3 and out, or struggled, whatever the case is. If Kirk Cousins can find ways to close out games, which I think that falls on the entire offense, obviously, because you and the offensive coordinator, the Vikings could be a team that makes a deep playoff run. Watch out. That's all I got to say.
All
Those
right.
purple teams, watch out.
Really quick to wrap these up. The Giants beat the Titans 21-20, and don't forget my interview with Jim Wyatt, senior writer and editor for Titans.com. But a shanked field goal, and the Giants win in Brian Daboll's head coaching debut.
This is the Giants Super Bowl. That's all I have to say. Over to you, Carlos.
I don't really have much to say on this game. I mean, my thing is how do you guys think Ryan Tannehill is going to lose his job middle of the season?
Yeah.
And they're going to go because Malik Willis looked great in the preseason, and he just brings a whole nother dynamic to the game where he can rush.
Malik Willis.
Teams won't know how to defend it. That's the other thing too. So at least not now, until he develops more of his game.
But also, like, having him back there with like Derrick Henry would be just insane.
Imagine that. Imagine running the read option with Derrick Henry.
Malik Willis, man. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, the Titans just really didn't capitalize on this game. Again, the Giants should have been an easy win for sure. But hey, man, I mean, in terms of how the Giants looked, I mean, they did pretty good, man. I mean, Brian Daboll, you can already see he's starting to. It's incredible what competent coaching does.
It's a damn good culture, you could say. One could say.
All right,
Judge.
Carlos, I do apologize, but the last score, the Buccaneers beating the Cowboys 19-3.
Listen, I'm not going to go on a heavy rant. If you want to hear me rant, it's basically the same. My rant would be the same thing that I've been saying all offseason. Not a lot of investment back into the team. Defensively, we held like we did pretty good. We stopped them multiple times in the red zone and held them to field goals. They kept us in the game offensively. There's just no weapons. For Tampa Bay, I mean, honestly, it's I credit that mostly to like there's just a lot of stuff going on in Brady's life right now. So like I just think he's just not all the way invested. And just they're still working some guys back. I mean, Leonard Fournette looked like he's back in form. Hopefully he can get back to where he was 2 seasons ago when they made that run to the Super Bowl. And hopefully Godwin is because he tweaked his hamstring. Hopefully he comes back. I mean, I'm surprised he's even back now because he tore his ACL in like week 15. So I'm surprised he's even back. And for Dallas, I mean, obviously, we need to figure out that line. Obviously we're going to get Gallup back here in a couple weeks, but they're going to be treading water with Cooper Rush. So I don't know, man. It's a tough thing to deal with. Just knowing that we're about to waste another season, just all because the Jones family didn't do what they needed to do. But I digress.
Yeah, Carlos summed it up perfectly. I have nothing to add to that.
Oh, that Tampa Bay defense was incredible as well, by the way.
Yeah, their defense is great. I will say though, the Tom Brady stuff is interesting and definitely something to follow. And like we said earlier on, I mean, we all think this is the end for Tom Brady. There's really no other way around it. Now we're starting to see the rift in his a lot of stuff in his personal life that obviously has been speculated and quote unquote reported on. So yeah, he was definitely a little off, even though the defense played really well. Yeah, Dallas, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Dak is out, 8 weeks or something?
6 to 8 weeks is what it's looking like.
And like you said, Carlos, yeah, treading water is a way to put it. But you never know. This division that you all are in, it has that ability to everyone slump at the same time. So funnier things have happened. It's not going to be easy by any stretch. Dallas has to make a lot of improvements, but
and I just don't think they have the competent front office to make these moves here. I mean, they should already be looking for another wide receiver. Like we should have already signed one today. We should have signed Fuller or even have gone out. We should be trying to get OBJ, even though OBJ is not going to be ready. But that way we have somebody coming in that's going to be dynamic, that's going to take off a CD. Because the problem is they're double. I mean, we don't have time to get into this. But basically what I'm saying is I just don't think the Cowboys have the front office that's going to be able to make these moves that we need to be made because they care too much about the cap.
Agreed.
And their precious cap and having cap space. That's what they care most about. But I digress.
All right, that is the hurry up offense. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, my interview with Jim Wyatt, senior writer and editor for Titans.com. And then we will wrap things up right after that. Stick with us right here on the Kirby on Sports podcast.
Hey there, this is Mark Francis of Icon Real Estate. If you have any real estate needs in the Winchester surrounding area, including West Virginia, give me a call. I've got extensive experience, been in the business for almost 20 years, and would love to help you out. Track me down at Icon Real Estate, iconsells.com, or even give me a call, 540-247-1527. Again, Icon Sells, ICONSELLS.com, and I would love to chat with you and help you out. Give me a call.
Welcome back to the Kirby on Sports podcast. Josh Kirby with you. Now let's take a dive around the NFL. We have Jim Wyatt, senior writer and editor for the Titans, on with us right now. Jim, first and foremost, appreciate the time, sir. Hope you're doing well and happy football season. How's everything going for you so far this season? I know it's early, but how is everything?
Yeah, glad to be back in the flow of things. The season, there's such a long build up to it. Training camp started back at the end of July, and, it's a long runway to get to the start. So glad football season's here. Titans didn't get off to a very good start in week 1, but certainly a long way to go. And I'm just glad to be playing games that matter.
Yeah, obviously we'll get into this game in just a moment, but just looking at what the Titans did last year based on what you saw last year going into training camp this year, can you just sort of talk about just briefly what you liked in training camp, what you didn't like, and sort of the Titans team that showed up week one. What were your biggest likes and biggest dislikes from camp?
Well, I mean, I thought the team had a solid camp. I mean, I thought Ryan Tannehill was good, trying to get on the same page with, a lot of his new receivers and targets. I mean, he got taken into consideration that team lost A.J. Brown, top receiver from last year, and got a lot of new guys in the lineup from Traylon Burks to Robert Woods to Kyle Phillips to Austin Hooper to Chiga Okonkwo, the two starting new offensive linemen. So you had to really get up to speed and try to gel a little bit, in camp with a lot of new faces. And I think for the most part that went well. I mean, it's still some work to do. Anytime you have so much change, it's going to take a while before you really get it the way you want it to. But I thought that was a positive. Defensively, this team returns a lot of players from last year's team that really finished strong. The unfortunate thing at the end of camp was Harold Landry, or in the preseason at least. Harold Landry suffers a torn ACL in practice, and he's your top pass rusher from a year ago. Now he's out for the season, so that's a concern. Week one, I think the most alarming thing to me was just the run defense wasn't any better. The Giants ran all over them. It's one of the main reasons they lost, and then they just were inconsistent on offense, and that kind of kept the Giants in the game. And Titans are going to have to be a lot better moving forward, I think, on both sides of the ball if they're going to get back to the playoffs and win this division for the third year in a row.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this game, the Giants ran off 16 straight coming back, 16 unanswered, I believe that number was. But he pretty much came down to a shanked field goal by the Titans kicker. But just looking at the stats, and I tuned in back and forth. I saw highlights, but it looked like it was more of a passing attack for this Titans offense in this game against the Giants. As the run game, I mean, Derrick Henry had 21 carries, 82 yards, but it seemed more pass heavy and not a balanced run and pass attack. What did you see from that game offensively, Jim?
Well, man, I think the biggest things offensively that stood out, yeah, you're right. I mean, they did throw the ball a little bit, but they weren't effective enough. And, Kyle Phillips was their top receiver, 6 catches for 66 yards. You got Traylon Burks, the rookie first-round pick, was involved some. Robert Woods made a catch early. We didn't see him again. Austin Hooper, I mentioned him earlier. He made a catch, but, didn't do a whole lot. It was some balance there, but I think, for me, what stood out more than anything else was just the inconsistencies on offense, going 3 of 11 on third down, not able to kind of generate, some positive momentum, coming into the second half. And so I think that's more than anything else. That's what is the carryover coming out of that game. And you got to make sure you get some things corrected where it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, and it looks like some key turnovers for the Titans as well. Derrick Henry fumbled. Kyle Phillips, the rookie, fumbled and lost one. Bud Dupree, though, had a fumble recovery. But, I mean, the turnovers there, I'm not really sure if they converted into scores. But something, too, you got to look at on this Titans team, like something to clean up going into this week's matchup on Monday night.
Yeah, and the Henry one was just he lined up in the wildcat formation, dropped the snap, and then recovered it. So they didn't lose the ball there, and they were fortunate on the Kyle Phillips one you mentioned. That came on a punt return where he lost it, and the Giants recovered it, but the Titans got it right back when Amani Hooker intercepted, Daniel Jones in the end zone. So they got away with a couple of those there, but they've got to be cleaner. There's no doubt. They weren't real clean on offense. They had 3 drops. Too many penalties, a couple of holding penalties on Aaron Brewer. Defensively, they got after the quarterback early in that game and ended up with 5 sacks, but the pass rush was kind of put on hold in the second half because the Giants ran it right at them and the Titans couldn't stop them, and the Titans couldn't get them in long down and distance situations to allow them to rush the quarterback like they wanted to. So I think a lot of things need to be cleaned up going into Buffalo against a team that I think is maybe the best team in the league right now.
Yeah, I mean, a tough Buffalo team on Monday night for the Titans. You were talking about the run defense, how the Giants were running all over the Titans. So that, I would assume, is one thing that needs to be cleaned up. But what were some of the positives you think that are going to carry over for the Titans going into next week's game and beyond? I know it's early, and maybe it might not be the case come week 2 or week 3, but what do you see as positives that this Titans team can come out and rely on each and every week?
Well, I do think the defense is going to be consistently good. I haven't seen many days where they were gashed like that in the run game. I never would have thought that would have happened on Sunday, but it did. I think the Titans will clean some things up there. I think the pass rush is going to be good. I was encouraged by what I saw from Bud Dupree, another year removed from the ACL. Jeffrey Simmons was a dominant force in the middle. I thought offensively, I think, again, Ryan Tannehill didn't play. It wasn't his best Ryan Tannehill game by any stretch, but he was solid enough for them to win. He didn't turn the ball over. Again, he's working with a whole bunch of new guys, and I think the more those guys play together, the better they'll be. I think this is still a good team, but there's a challenging schedule at the start. I mean, that's why that loss to the Giants was so critical, because now you go to Buffalo, then you got the Raiders coming in here, then you got to go to Indy, you got to go to Washington, and then you got the Colts again, and then after a road trip to Houston, which tied the Colts over the weekend, then you got to go to Kansas City, you got Denver coming in here, you got to go to Green Bay. You got Cincinnati coming in here. You got to go to Philadelphia. So it really just never lets up. I mean, I'm going all the way through. Jacksonville's next. Then you go to the Chargers. Then you got Houston, Dallas, and at Jacksonville. So that's a tough stretch. And you better get on track here soon before this thing gets too far off track.
Jim Wyatt with us here on the Kirby on Sports podcast, Titans senior writer and editor. Jim, just one more thing, kind of not really football related, but any big articles? I mean, obviously we don't want you to spoil anything, but any big articles coming out your way? Any big features that Titans fans who are listening could be on the lookout for?
Well, I do a mailbag twice a week, every Tuesday, every Saturday. That's been pretty lively this week coming off of the game. And do a lot of game preview stuff coming up. The Monday night game is kind of throwing the schedule off a little bit. Titans practice Thursday, Friday, Saturday this week. Hit the road to Buffalo on Sunday for that game. So obviously have some game preview stuff, 6 things to watch as we get closer. And it's always a pretty active site. I mean, there's always team news going on. I've got 2 roster spots that are open now that are going to be filled at some point in the not so distant future. And then once the team returns to practice on Thursday, we'll be cranking back those quick hits come out of practice every day, which are really the top news of the day. Ryan Tannehill talked this week. Derrick Henry talked this week. It's nice to have open locker rooms back again for the first time since the 2019 season. So, website, TennesseeTitans.com is going to be hopping. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, they practice the tail end of this week, the travel day Sunday. So I assume you're pretty much at every practice trying to find something, the next big thing to write about, correct?
Yeah, I cover every practice. And so it's, and it's, every day out of practice, I do a quick hits, which includes, new developments. It includes who's practicing and it's who's not. It includes kind of look ahead to the next week's game, and then I'll also do a lot of features and a lot of other analysis pieces kind of leading up to the game and coming out of the game. So there's always something to write about. There's no doubt about that. No days off here at TennesseeTitans.com.
Absolutely. Once again, Jim Wyatt, the senior writer and editor for the Tennessee Titans. Jim, really appreciate you chopping it up with us and greatly appreciate the time, sir.
Okay. Have a good week. I appreciate you having me.
All right, that was Jim Wyatt, senior writer and editor for Titans.com. That's about all the time we have for this edition of the Kirby on Sports podcast. Once again, team, this was a lot of fun. I appreciate each and every one of you.
Oh, so we're not going to talk about what we're excited for this coming week?
I'm so glad football is back. Just in case it hasn't been.
Well, listen, I'm excited for tomorrow, okay? Chiefs, Chargers, that's the marquee game. That's the only game we need to watch, okay? That's it.
Oh, wow. That was an easy pick for you, wasn't it, Carlos? Yeah.
I'm just looking forward to more football because I already missed it.
Here we go again.
I don't know if we're going to make it, man. I mean, this week one was so rough to do. I don't know if I have the energy.
That's what I said. It's a long episode. Dolphins Ravens for me, obviously being a homer.
Oh wow, Dan, surprise.
Yeah, you say, well, if you're gonna pick your mistress team, then I'm gonna pick my favorite team. Why not?
Fair enough.
And it should be a good game.
Well, I'm looking forward to a lot of interesting matchups out there. Obviously, the Commanders. That might be a close game. The Lions play tough, and I think if the Commanders are not on their playing at their best and they force turnovers, I think the Lions can win. That's what I'm looking at to see how the Lions do against the Washington Commanders, and not because I follow the Commanders, but just that. Yeah, also
it's definitely because you follow the Commanders. Let's be honest here. If you weren't a Commanders fan, dude, you wouldn't care about this game. Nobody cares about this game. Aside from Commanders and Lions fans. Let's be honest, okay?
And Patriots and Steelers, I'm looking out for that game as well.
Why? All right, I don't want to get into that. That's insanity.
He thinks it's Big Ben versus Tom Brady.
Tom Brady, like what are we talking? It's Mitch Trubisky versus Mac Jones.
I know. I want to see how these two quarterbacks do against each other. If it's going to be a competition or not. That's seriously.
Oh, stop. You're trying to be the different pick. You're trying to be like, oh, I'm trying to be the niche pick. I want to watch Pittsburgh, New England to see if it's competitive. It's Mitch Trubisky and Mac Jones with no weapons. What are we doing?
Can we end the episode now? That was a perfect way to end it. Oh my God.
For our sponsors, PM Plus Reserve, Shenandoah Primitives, Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation, and Mark Francis. With Icon Real Estate, this has been another edition of the Kirby on Sports podcast. Again, we would not be where we are today without our sponsors and their support. You can find the Kirby on Sports podcast on all streaming platforms and all social media platforms, www.kirbyonsports.com. Thanks once again to Jim Wyatt, senior writer and editor for Titans.com, for coming on the show as well. Until the next time you hear us or see us, always remember to create greatness. We say so long and peace out.